Do you want to know what it is? It is all around us. Even now, in this very room, you can see it when you look out your window or when you turn on your television. You can feel it when you go to work, when you go to church. Unfortunately, no one can be told what
functional patterns is.
You have to see it for yourself. This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
Hey there, welcome to this video. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Brendan, and today we're going to be talking about Functional Patterns 10-week online course, a long-term perspective, what you can expect from the course itself, how it's helped me, which we'll cover at the end of the video, my results with functional patterns. How I came into this was pretty much because I started making videos a few years ago, reviewing this course, thinking, do you know what? I'm in pain. I was in chronic pelvic pain. I had problems with my pelvic floor. I didn't have any answers from the traditional approaches. The doctors had no answers for me. We were in the middle of a pandemic, which made things a lot more simple in terms of how much exercise I was doing and how much training I was doing. So I was a personal trainer back then. I put all my clients onto Zoom, so I didn't have to do as much walking around and demoing. And so for me, it was the perfect time to kind of dial into the FP 10-week online course. And probably for a lot of people out there watching this video, and for a lot of people that have watched my previous videos, you'll probably be sitting there thinking, man, I've been deliberating over this thing for a while. Why am I finding it so difficult to press buy? And why am I finding this such a challenge? I was exactly the same, so have no fear in that situation. I felt like if I gave in and bought the course, that I would have to spend a considerable amount of time learning something, and something that maybe I wasn't even ready to learn yet. And I think there is a process of cognitive dissonance with some of the stuff that functional patterns puts out in the world. I think the term used by some of the practitioners is a cerebral enema happens, where your brain just gets completely washed clean of all the garbage that lives in the fitness industry and replaced with some of this incredible knowledge. So when we talk about my results in a bit, we'll talk about, what things I've learned along the way, and how this course can help you, and how this program can help you evolve into a more intelligent human being. To cover pricing, I'm going to throw the pricing up on screen right now. I don't think this is a huge amount of money. Now, I know for a lot of people that are buying this course at the moment, there's the idea of equipment that needs to be invested in, and there's the element of money and price. I often see those two things. If they're an obstacle for you, that means to me that you're probably not ready to invest in this, because in reality and in the truth of it, you're probably sitting there thinking, I'm scared of having to invest time and energy in learning something new and into a process that is ultimately going to challenge me in many levels. I'm now a functional patterns practitioner myself, and I know that if you're in pain, for a large part of the population that are coming to functional patterns, this 10-week online course is because they're coming here because they're in pain and they've had no other solutions, right? So pain is already an obstacle, and then there's the object of price. If someone's in that much pain and they can't work, then money's going to be an objection. A lot of the time, it's probably more down to taking a deeper look at your trauma as an individual and your dysfunctions as an individual. Functional patterns orients itself around a very objective approach to human beings. And we live in a very subjective culture at the moment. We live in a world where fame and fortune is just a click away, and people can go online and they can see all the glamorous subjective bodies on the internet internet, and functional patterns kind of gets rid of all of that. We're more concerned with what do we see in front of us, how do I see myself, and how can I improve myself in the next hour, in the next 10 minutes, in the next day, and taking a very objective approach and saying, well, I'm going to put all my emotions to one side because emotions cloud your judgment, and focus on doing the work. That's to cover the pricing element and to cover the objections that come along with pricing. Finances and money is often just an objection for people's deep dysfunctional behaviors. I know this myself. I'm telling you this out of truth here. I'm being completely truthful here. I have massive hang-ups when it comes to money, and a lot of that's dysfunctional behavior. Let's get on to the structure of the actual program itself. The first 3 weeks are myofascial release. And all that 3 weeks is intended to do is to start breaking down what parts of the body might be the most tight or calcified in your system, what parts of your body that you see, that you feel that you need to work on the most. And it's really trying to dive into teaching you the different terminologies and parts of the body that are important when it comes to training and when it comes to the biomechanical movements of your body. So as much as you can treat it like time for your muscles to regenerate, time for your muscles to be released, you've got to think of this as an opportunity for you to learn about the muscles of your body. Without learning about the muscles of your body, it's wasted. You're like wasting your time. You've got to think, right, what is a rectus femoris? What is a glute medius? What is my serratus? What are all these parts of my body and how do they help me move? That's really, really important. So the first 3 weeks, you've got to treat like reset button. We're going to release tightness in the body, but we're going to learn a lot about our body. Then there's a segment on posture. The week on posture is just 1 week, and it really is an observational week. It's about looking at your body in an objective manner, like I said before, and thinking about what things do I see in myself. What things can I see on the film, maybe putting a camera up and filming yourself? What things can I see that are out of balance? What is it in my body that's lacking? And how can I then use the next 6 weeks of corrective exercises to help me start that process of repairing and putting my body in the correct positions to enable those muscles to do their thing. And that sounds like really weird, right? Okay, why are we going to use correctives when we're talking about muscle gain? What you got to understand is the human body is really integrated. The arm and the shoulder, they all work together. The elbows work together to help rotate your rib cage. The arm itself and the shoulder joint works together with the pec to help drive hip extension, to drive thoracic extension. There are a whole bunch of elements that come into the integration of the muscles. And if one of those muscles isn't working, or if maybe 2 or 3 of those muscles aren't showing and you can't see them, then it stands to reason that the corrective exercises are set to help bring those out. Okay, so what I'd like you to think about is, rather than thinking, oh, well, start with week 1, work through week 1 to 10, what you might find yourself doing is going through the first 3 weeks of myofascial release, doing the posture work, reassessing and going, do you know what? I need to work a little bit more on the release work. Or you might find that you go into the corrective exercises, maybe a handful of those don't really work for you, but there are 3 or 4 exercises that work really, really well in helping you correct the dysfunctions that you see when you're standing. So for a large part, the course is designed to release tight muscles, to improve your posture, and to strengthen your movement patterns so that you stand better and potentially walk better. That's the basis of the course. When you get into like the functional training system and you get into the parabar or the RG bar as it's called now, you start to really delve into rotational mechanics and weight distribution. But for now, and for the 10-week online course, it really is just a focus on, hey, let's correct you. Let's focus on the areas of weaknesses and let's make you look like a better human being when you're standing unconsciously. And a lot of the practitioners out there will use this analogy or this terminology of conscious and unconscious. We have unconscious and incompetent, which is a large part of the population. People are so unaware of themselves and unaware of their bodies, it's scary. And that's why they live in this subjective reality. And then someone becomes conscious about something that's wrong with them, but they're incompetent in terms of correcting it and fixing it. And then at some point in the process of taking the 10-week online course, you develop a certain level of conscious competence. You know what the problems are, you know where the dysfunctions are, and you're competent in actually fixing them and executing correctives and executing the fixes. And the whole idea about this process is that you move yourself from that conscious and competent stage into an unconscious competence. All right, and that's where someone like Usain Bolt is very good. He is unconsciously competent at doing a very, very explosive maneuver over 100 to 200 meters very, very quickly, and all his muscles work incredibly well to get him that result. So you've got to think of it like that. When it comes to support and how you can be supported in this process, because let's face it, asking someone to do something that's quite slow-paced, quite boring, is quite a big step. So there is support out there. There's the Functional Patterns Doers group on Facebook. There's also the Functional Patterns Doers group on Telegram now, which is a channel, and you can actually directly talk to Naudi himself in that group. Okay, that may change over the next few months and years as the whole functional pattern system grows. But what I'd like you to understand about this is that you don't have to go into this and think, oh, do you know what? I'm at this alone. I'm in my room. I've got my computer and I'm trying to work all this stuff out. You've got to ask questions. I live by the phrase, if you don't ask, you don't get. And the reason that I like that phrase is because there are plenty of practitioners in that group that are willing to help, that are willing to offer their support, that are willing to offer their advice. It may be something that you're not ready to hear, but they'll say it nonetheless. And being direct and communicating really well is the first step in making progress with your health and fitness. There is a level of intelligence and maturity that comes along with doing functional patterns. There is a level of maturity and understanding that has to come along with you learning about the parts of your body. And if you're not quite ready for it, then this is not the time for you, being completely honest. If you are ready for it, then start with the 10-week course, work your way through it. And then my advice from there, don't do what I did and go and buy the next course and the next course and the next course. Go back over the 10-week online course again. I go over that course every week. I go into the portal to log into my membership site every week, and I look at the videos, I study the videos, and then I look at myself in the mirror where I film myself doing stuff, and I'm like, man, I've got so much work to do, but it's so worth it at the end of the day because the structural changes I've seen have been incredible. So when we talk about my results, we talk about my journey with this. I've been in the fitness industry a long time. I've done dieting, I've done all sorts of training modalities, I've done some strength and conditioning stuff, which I ended up getting injured with. I did some postural work at the beginning of all of that, which never worked. The only thing I've seen comprehensive progress with over a period of time is functional patterns. And I'd like you to think of it like this. Michelangelo didn't paint the Sistine Chapel in 2 weeks, or 10 weeks for that matter. It took 5 years, and one could argue that he didn't even finish really the masterpiece that is the Sistine Chapel. I don't expect that in 10 weeks your whole body is going to look like a chiseled Greek goddess or god. You're going to feel 100% better than you did when you started, but there's still many reps to go, many elements to this process. And I would highly encourage you to take all your preconceived ideals about the fitness industry and what's good and functional, put it to one side, focus on yourself for a period of time. I'm 3 years into working as a functional patterns doer, let's say, and I can only see things improving. I can only see things getting better. And hopefully this review gives you the idea that, hey, this is an investment in something quite substantial in terms of its quality, in terms of its value. I think it's a highly undervalued system in the industry at the moment, and it will be very highly valued in the future. I think it's something that everyone should do if they're interested in improving their health and their fitness and their lifestyle, but I don't think everybody's ready for it. And that's the question you've got to ask yourself today. Am I ready to put everything to one side and just focus on this for 10 weeks? And if not, then come back to it when you are. Hopefully that's been helpful for you guys today. If you have any questions, just drop them in the comment section below. I look forward to chatting with people, and I look forward to hopefully seeing some of you guys in the future in the Functional Patterns Doers group. Just hit me up and ask me any questions you have. As for now, stay strong, keep moving. I'll catch you soon.